Welcome back. We are here with our topic, unhealed trauma in parents, and we have Tawanda and Tawanda. Something very interesting. Hansi banga, inye banga. So it's a metaphor that's saying the multi-generational trauma that's being passed down in your generation. It might just be because there was no knife in the family. Tawanda.
Yeah, and now Bangandana Rokapamba, yeah, that's funny. So yeah, I think though Engo had a lot of measure about the generational trauma and also the trauma in the family, the parents, how they pass the trauma to their kids.
So I have a question to you. You gave a very beautiful, anecdote. Are you married?
No.
How old are you? How old are you?
Okay, 30.
Why are you not yet married?
Number one, I'm not ready.
Number one is not ready.
Yes, and number two, I'm afraid to meet up with someone and name a trauma. And now, Pascano Zimbabwe mostly, they have a lot of trauma. That's the truth. It might be from the family, it might be from the exes, it might be from bad. There's a lot of trauma, unhealed trauma.
So when are you married?
I love, I'm not married myself. I'm still in a relationship with myself.
Nice.
And being a 28-year-old, I know it raises a lot of questions, but at the end of the day, like he said, right now the dating pool is quite an interesting spectrum. But I can allude it to one thing. Most people blame poverty, but I look at it from a trauma perspective. Because at the end of the day, most of these girls are just chasing material things. So what it takes to be in an actual marriage, it needs a lot of healing and for you to be one with yourself. So what people forget, marriage is supposed to complement each other, not to complete each other.
Okay.
And lately, that's all that we're seeing, people trying to be somebody else's other half. But can you be a whole person for yourself? For the sake of another person.
I'll come in as a female, guys. I love everything you say and I validate it. But at the same time, this trauma is just yes, denial. Yeah. How about you guys?
Yes, we have. But the issue here is men use logic to think, women use emotions to think. And then most of the times we deal with our things logical. And then women, they deal with their things emotional. So at the end of the time, they keep it to heart. So each and every relationship that we go as a guy, mostly if you ask about the previous relationship, a lady will be like, no, don't ask me about that. And then me, I'll be free to speak, okay, the girl I was dating was like this. But for like this, no, why are you asking me in that right? But why? I just want to know if you heal. And the problem is, mostly, they never healed.
So guys, what we are saying is, okay, there is just a ripple effect of trauma, so to speak.
Yes.
And what we are saying is coming from home, right? So let's go back to where we're saying, where are the origins of this trauma? Yours, in your experience, because we all have our own traumas, right? So let's say, in your experience, you work with a lot of young guys. I've seen that in work, right? And like you're saying, now you've brought it home to your dating. Where is it coming from? Parent-wise.
Let me step in. The boy child, unfortunately, if you're being raised by a narcissistic mother, that's where the deep trauma comes from. Now, new word, narcissism. Now, with narcissistic children that have parents that are narcissistic, it's quite amazing. The trauma that comes from there, the lack of trust, the constant second guessing, scrutinizing everything. So it's fair to say, yes, trauma is from both perspectives, but what we take for granted is boys take it a lot more deeper than what women think when it comes to dealing with their emotions. So it's easy to say I'm a logical person, but to be honest, I'm proud to say I'm actually more of an emotional person. Logic backs up my emotions, but I put my emotions up front because that's who I am. but then it's perceived as a weakness. It's perceived as, oh, you shouldn't be that's not a man. But at the end of the day, that's how I'm dealing with my trauma and moving on with my life.
Okay, so my understanding in my work with people is it's very important to balance your energy, the feminine and the masculine energy within all of us, because you all have that. And obviously, when you get into a relationship with a balanced mindset from both your emotional and your logical, you're better equipped. But I also want to come back, that's deep, narcissism.
Yeah.
Are we saying we are diagnosing these moms, or is it not that? We're coming back to where you're saying it's unhealed trauma, because it's so easy when the father just leaves. I always see a lot of, toxic social media posts about single women and things like that.
Oh yeah.
Is it not that this woman has got a lot of trauma and now is projecting it subconsciously onto the children?
Narcissism, what we need to understand, you can have it as a personality disorder, or you can just have it as part of your traits. And most of us are narcissistic in some way, but there's some that are diagnosed with a personality disorder, and believe you me, you don't tell a narcissist they are a narcissist. But to go back to what you're saying, it's fair to then say that with most women, especially single mothers, they're dealing with a lot. They've been through a lot. So it's not like they're intending to hurt their child, but they just don't know that their actions have a certain impact on their children. Like what you're saying, it's trauma that's coming from her generation, bleeding onto the current generation. And that young kid that's growing up is going to be growing up with two generational traumas and their own trauma in trying to now deal with things.
I'm going to come to you now, Tawanda, and say, those single mothers don't become single mothers by themselves. Is it not that they are also traumatized fathers that are coming in to impregnate these women with their own traumas? What's your take?
Okay, my take is quite tricky. As me, mostly I'm attracted to people who have issues.
Subconsciously?
Subconsciously.
Okay.
And there's a lot of men that are also
like that.
Like that. So sometimes it's not about from a man's perspective or a man's side, but mostly if you check, I want you to do a research about this.
Definitely.
Yes. So if you check a single mom, you also need to check their mothers. Also need to check their grandmothers. And you realize at some point the father, the husband left them. And then it's a cycle. It's a cycle that needs to be broken. So now the question is, the single mom now, when they're raising their kids, they don't talk about it. They talk as if the man was so wrong. We're not saying men are always correct. No. They also say, no, don't do this, the man, don't do. And then they end up raising kids that are also toxic. And then when they see some kind of fruit, they just go. And then they just try by all means to be protective to their inner emotions.
Wow, powerful. This is deep stuff. And what I'm getting from you is that sometimes we need to deeply introspect over who we are listening to. Whose advice are we listening to? And is it some advice that is actually coming from a place of healing, or it's coming from actually bleeding? So that's homework, that's food for thought. Stay tuned. We're going to come back with the same topic.
The best of